This is Investment Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Daily live streaming interactive. Featuring Mrs. Backup. Subscribe, hit the notification, smash the likes. Now, here's Backup Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Investment Perspectives. I want to talk to you today about what I feel like is a plan that is becoming more revealed and more clear every day as we walk towards, I guess it's a solution. I guess you want to say it's a solution, but it is the path, I believe, to where we're going. And we're going to talk about how economically that plan can play directly into the hands and the benefit of blockchain and crypto. All right, let's get this thing started. One, you're looking at the inclusive development blockchain for supply chains right here. We've gone over this document before, but stay with me because I'm going to take you through some information we've seen, and I'm going to try to give you a picture that can maybe provide a little more clarity about just about how the convergence of the economy the way it is and where it may need to go in order to unlock the problems that we have right now. So let's get into this thing. Okay. One, so we know about the blockchain supply chains that are being introduced for interoperability. Supply chains are what have been interrupted here. In lieu of a economic crisis, a liquidity crisis that was well underway last year, we see that there's also been an intentional, deliberate shutdown of the economy due to a pandemic. This has directly affected supply chains. They've also talked about the threat of contamination from global imported stuff from China being contaminated because of this. So let's talk about this. How might we be on a path to possibly fix this? This diagram, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is to scale. What we're looking at here is tax cuts, deregulation, and decentralization. If you look to the right where the globe is, and obviously the globe looks exactly like that, by the way. I don't know if you're aware of that. But if you look at this, what you see is the exports and imports coming out of China into the United States. For example, we're talking about the United States here and what needs to happen. Over the years, everything has been moved manufacturing-wise over to China, and now we're getting all those goods brought back into the country. Problem in a situation like this is that the liquidity crisis has caused a break, and then unfortunately we've had a pandemic on top of it causing a deliberate shutdown to what was already an economic collapse. This has caused a breakdown in the supply chains. Now there is serious conversation talking about the fact that even through domestic supply chains, meat, poultry, pork is all going to be affected very soon, and we're going to feel that even more so than we felt the empty shelves already during this pandemic. What could change this dynamic? Well, if they decentralize areas of industry and through tax cuts encourage manufacturing to come back to the U.S. and impose deregulation on areas of industry like farmers and meat, what we could see is like these blue little conglomerate circles throughout the country begin to arise and emerge. These would be this diagram here, creating a localized stimulated economy. Because if you can allow John's farm to now become the butcher for the local town and provide farm to table meat, we just took out a lot of regulations and infrastructure that's not necessary, that's holding up these supply chains. If you can, through tax cuts, encourage manufacturing to come back here to the country, then you could get Bob and Alice a job at the manufacturer. If you can have them making money and get a job to buy the meat, to bring it home from the local farmer and get it on the table, then we can also go to the local store and start to buy retail and goods. This would be the quickest way I would perceive to ignite the economy through localizing it. This way, each town or cities can begin to serve theirself. Again, this is all based on the understanding that the pandemic has interrupted supply chains globally and domestically. Okay. How does this affect blockchain or crypto, and how does it fit into this? One, peer-to-peer payments and the simple fact of putting your finances back in your control completely, from 401k to money on your phone. For instance, there's a lot of people out here who are suffering, and I try to be the optimist, as you can see. And I look at things in products like I Trust Capital, and the fact that so many people have contacted me personally talking about losing their money and watching their 401k dwindle down to next to nothing. I encourage you to check out I Trust Capital, where you can invest in XRP or Bitcoin or other cryptos, and it's very soon to be gold if it hasn't already become available. And you can personally control that IRA. Banks do not offer those options for those assets. It is a great company with even greater people. So that's number one, putting your finances back in your control 100%. In the process of a pandemic, rebuilding the domestic and the international global supply chains. Well, Brad, this sounds pretty grandiose. Does it? What is these things that we have looked at over time here look like to you? The World Economic Forum deployment of blockchain for supply chains. This came out April, just last month. This is what the World Economic Forum is planning on doing while this pandemic is happening. Deployment of blockchain for supply chains. Now, like I said, we've gone over this document. I'm just going to quickly go down here and bring us back to right here. You can clearly see there's many solutions here that are provided that are going to be used because they have proven to be interoperable solutions. One of which is Interledger, Ripple, and R3 Quarter Settler. This is also a direct proof that the R3 Quarter Settler will use XRP for settlement. Because in this diagram, the World Economic Forum has directly connected it to Ripple and the Interledger. Come on in. Obviously, you see Ethereum built around smart contracts. Understanding the diagram from Ethereum to Interledger to Ripple shows you directly that what we already know, that there has been an interoperable connection made between Ethereum's private network, the ILP, and the XRP ledger. Now, this is from the World Economic Forum. Then we see documents that even back up more efforts. Decentralized financial technologies from the Financial Stability Board from the G20. Report on financial stability, regulatory, and governance implications. Again, backing up exactly what I'm talking about here with deregulation, decentralization, and tax cuts combined can bring us to a new economy that really could ignite all across the country very quickly if they employ all three of these things in their strengths to stimulate local economies to grow tighter again by bringing manufacturing back, opening up regulation, allowing John's Farm to be able to butcher meat local so you can get it to the table. And because you got a job, you can spend the money at the local 5 and dime store. Let's talk about that. Because I believe this approach will allow the private company, the small mom and pop stores, to thrive again. A resurgence of the mom and privately owned businesses to resurge in this country again. Take a look at Sears and a lot of these other huge chains, retail chains that have collapsed lately. The shoe store, there's been jewelry stores, massive stores that are just closing terrible. Understand that those large corporate models are about constant growth and constant real estate acquisition. They have to continue to open X amount of stores every quarter so they can continue to hit the certain price breaks for manufacturing to keep the certain margin they need, because these corporates are fighting with one another for all of this growth. But they're sourcing it from the same place, China. This bottleneck of manufacturing is what's caused, ultimately, in the end, it becomes the Achilles heel to the large corporate model of constant real estate acquisition. Because the constant real estate acquisition in the next city, and the next city, and the next city, and the next city, 250 or 800 stores every quarter, whatever it is about being able to get the land, borrow against the land, get the goods, and then keep that price break low, or the pricing on the price break very low, so the margins can be right, because the margins are thin to begin with. Well, why are the margins thin? Well, the margins are thin because it's all being produced from one area. The Achilles heel. Coming back to what this looks like a potential to do, knowing that there has been a lot of talk here lately about how to deal with the fact that supply chains domestically and globally have been interrupted. Meat, poultry, pork is all going to be a lag in getting it, as well as vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes, corn, right? You name it. However, if they're able to use decentralization, deregulation, and tax cuts in the right way, I believe you can get the deregulation you need to allow John's Farm to become the butcher. I believe if you impose the right tax cuts and encourage and incentivize manufacturers to come back to this country, you can begin to localize your economies. I also believe through decentralization, while this entire crisis is happening, pandemic and economic liquidity crisis, we are watching the largest players in the world prepare to bring on what will be a global stable coin. And stable coins, digital dollars. And I believe that the reason they will be bringing these on is because, for example, with XLM and XRP, these new digital assets will become assets that are put up for collateral. And the borrowers will be issued a stable coin off of the collateral. Now, I've gone over this in great detail in an earlier video. I think I will even put that video in the comment section so you can watch both of these and how they play together. But what we're also watching is a bond market be created in doing this. A brand new bond market where XLM IOU off of the asset issued for collateral put up. The digital asset IOU becomes a new bond market created for XRP and XLM because of the stablecoin issuance off of them. This brings confidence to a new financial system and financial instruments with better returns in the old system, restores confidence in the bond market, which is the foundation of any successful monetary system. I also believe we run a very good chance of seeing the fiat, major fiat of the world, also become backed by gold at an agreed price by the top fiat holders of the world. Looking at the enhancing of cross-border payments, again, assuring us that the Financial Stability Board, regulatory body from the G20, is making moves during this time, as I said in the diagram, decentralization, how to involve non-financial entities and non-bank businesses in the process of enhancing cross-border payments. So we can see the integration of the tier 1 central bank system begin to use and settle with assets like JPM coin and XRP, as they've expressed in this World Economic Forum document as well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. If you like the content, please hit the like and subscribe, and please share it on your social media platform. Don't forget, we have a show every day at 12 p.m. I will see you there. Talk to you soon.